API Builder Advanced Techniques. The Directual API Builder provides a lot of additional configure options which are really useful for professional front-end developers. Let's take a look at them. Paging for GET requests. The Directual database can store millions of objects, so it probably wouldn't be a very efficient solution to grab them all from one request, because that could be very time-consuming. The best and most common practice to achieve that is to organize paging or dynamic content loading at the front end. For that, Directual supports special parameters like page size, that's how many objects you want in the response, and page, which is simply the number of the page you've requested. Dynamic sorting for GET requests. We looked at sorting settings in the basics video, but sometime you'll need dynamic sorting. For example, if a user sets up sorting in the app interface. To handle that, Directual supports special parameters in GET requests. Parameter is called sort. The value is a combination of a field's system name and a sorting order. We can use several sorting fields, one by one, like this. Custom filtering parameters for GET requests. A GET request can contain any number of custom parameters, and by composing filtering conditionals, we can include these parameters by typing http request dot and then the parameter name. For example, let's add an array with the values A, B, and C as parameters, and then filter the objects whose names are equal to one of the elements in the array. Like that. Advanced filtering for GET requests. In some cases, a developer needs to set up rather complex filtering. Simple lists of logical and logical OR are not enough. We need to combine different expressions. Here we can switch the conditional editor to coding mode and describe any filtering logic in JSON format, like this. You'll find more detailed examples in the documentation. Fields validation for POST requests. There can be rules for validating incoming data. For example, that an object field should never be null, or that another field value should be more than 21. It's good practice for the API layer to validate data on the go and respond with an exception if validation fails. The rules for each field from the security layer can be configured in the standard way. Note that if we try to post a wrong object, we'll see an exception in response, like this. Synchronic scenarios for POST requests. A regular POST request sends for an object and in response receives the status and the object. If there are scenarios that process all new objects of a certain type, they will normally run independently after the request has been received. But there is another option. We can include a scenario, or a few of them, in the running synchronically list for our request. In this case, the response will be sent after the sync mode scenario has been completed. It works like this. We send an object. It passes the validation rules, if there are any. The synchronical scenario is triggered. The scenario is completed, and the object probably gets modified. Directual sends a response, which includes the object, or to be more precise, its fields that are allowed for reading. This is a great mechanism for front-end development, but you should be aware that scenario running in sync mode consumes several times more resources, so try not to make your scenarios too complicated. Cross-origin resource sharing cause. If a developer needs to request the API endpoint from different domains, the cross-origin resource sharing option should be on.